You are tuned in Salimo 254. This is Good Morning Africa.
The hand of the Lord is upon you, Africa. Arise, Africa, arise. Arise, shine. Your light is Africa, arise.
Good morning. Thank you very much for tuning in to Salimo 254. Remember, this is Good Morning Africa. They call me the African Queen. My name is Sarah Njoroge, and I'm super excited to host my second podcast. And let me tell you guys, today I'm super excited. I don't know. I am just on something. I don't know. I'm so happy. Today I have some laughter around me that I don't know where I got it from, but as I was coming to work, I think it was just something else. But I'll share that. Before that, I'm excited, guys, to have you all here listening to me. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for the support you gave me. Thank you for listening to yesterday, our first podcast, and here we are to our second one. I am happy and I'm excited about it. May the Lord bless you and keep listening. Now, today, just as usual, before we start our podcast, we're going to have a caller calling in and praying with us so that we can just start it all with God. So, let's do this.
Hello.
Hi, morning.
Morning to you. Thank you for calling Salimo. This is Good Morning Africa.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Thank you for tuning in.
You're welcome, and I'm so happy that for the first time my call went through.
I'm excited. Thank you. Welcome here.
Thank you.
So this is where we do it at Salimo 254.
Mm-hmm.
And now because you're our first caller, I'm going to request you to pray with us as we start the show.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's pray.
Go ahead.
Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, I want to thank you for this day. I want to thank you for yet another season, yet another month that you've given us, oh God, that we will advance our knowledge, my Father, that we will have a good time as Africans, my God, and we will learn how to encourage ourselves, my Father, and accept who we are, my God. Thank you for this awesome show that you've given us, my God. May we always endeavor to make it a good morning everywhere, my Father, in Africa. Thank you for our roots. Thank you for everything that you want us to learn. And thank you again for giving us professionals and people with talent and knowledge, my God, to make our days better in this continent. We bless you and we honor you. We commit every plan that shall happen in this show, my God. I pray that each and every listener shall get a take home, my God, an encouragement of my Father, a pointer to see them through another day for the glory and the honor of your name. This we pray, trusting and believing in Jesus' name.
Amen. So remember to keep spreading the word that we are Good Morning Africa.
Yes.
And it's a damn good morning every single day.
Yes. Hey, it's a damn good morning every other day in Africa.
Oh, yes. And we are here saying, Good Morning Africa.
Good morning, Africa.
Yes. So, before you go, you tell us your name and where you come from.
My name is Anyang.
Yes.
I'm calling you from Rongai, so you should know that Rongai is hearing you loud and clear. Rongai Massive is all locked in.
Thank you. Amazing.
You are welcome.
Thank you very much. So spread the word and make sure that you keep tuning in. You never know. Tomorrow you'll still call and the same will happen.
Definitely.
Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. You too. Enjoy your day and your show.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Anyang, for calling in and praying with us. Thank you for that opportunity. May the Lord bless you. So, I want to keep you reminded.
You are tuned in Salimo 254. This is Good Morning Africa.
Thank you very much for tuning in. So, today we are going to have amazing day and amazing session. Today, just as I told you yesterday, you remember yesterday we were just introducing everything. Now, today we are going to have a topic of the day, which is going to be self-discovery. That is the topic of the day. Number 2, we're going to have a country a day in Africa, and we're going to talk about Kenya. And then we're going to have a story in an feature by an African icon, and we're going to feature Jeff Koinange. We all know Jeff Koinange, right? Yeah, and tonight That is it, Jeff Koinange. Because when we come to talk about self-discovery, there's a lot we are going to learn from him. And finally, we're going to have to state 3 beautiful facts about Africa. All right? So now, as we start it all, before we start it all, I hope you guys, because this season and this time is when we are at home. Many of us are at home, are staying home. Schools are closed. Social gathering are closed. We are having COVID-19 around us. I hope you guys we are all keeping safe. You're all keeping okay. And I hope that you're taking care of yourself, other than just the physical, keeping a social distance, wearing mask, trusting in God that you will not get the virus, and more so, washing your hands with running water. Just remember to also have your mental check, your emotional check, your spiritual check. Just make sure you're okay. Yes. So every day I have to remind you that it's a good morning every single day. And here at Salimo 254, we're saying good morning, Africa. Why? Because we are getting to a point where we acknowledge and appreciate that Africa is where we were born, and Africa is our motherland, and Africa is where we belong. Okay, yesterday we said we don't live in Africa, we belong there, we belong in Africa. And so as we continue discovering Africa, as we continue understanding Africa, we also need to empower ourselves and to understand who we are as Africans. And so
The topic of the day.
today, our topic is on self-discovery. Even before we do anything else, I need us to start from there. Now, something about self-discovery is that it is a personal and an individual initiative. That is why it has a self in it. Meaning, if you want to discover and know who you are, if you want to understand who you're called to be, if you want to understand who exactly is you, and what are the talents, gifts that God has given you, who is you, what is your personality, what is your personality, who are you called to be, what is your purpose, where are you heading to, what do you love doing, all those things. You have to spend time with your own self. Meaning, there's a point where you as an individual have to spend some time with yourself and have to sit down with yourself and realize, what do I love, what do I hate, what do I love saying, what makes me happy, what makes me unhappy. If you get to understand that you start realizing who you are. Now, I'll give you a short story about me before we get to listening something small from Jeff. When I was young, I used to think so hard about life. Not young. I was in high school, because I remember I wanted to be a journalist in Form 1, and then I didn't become in Form 1, I remember there was this club, journalism club, I wanted to join in. Zahra was actually the patron, or maybe, wale wasichana, the school head, the ladies wenye wako haya kutuliko, Form 4s, Form 3s, who would come in and just ask, nani anataka kujoin club fulani. So Zahra and the team came in, and they asked who want to join journalism club, and I was there. I needed to join that because that is what I wanted to become. And then I wrote a composition. They told us, just write a composition on why you want to become a journalist. And I wrote a composition. And I remember a day later, Zahra coming in and saying, and called my name loud, Sarah Njoroge, your composition didn't make sense to me. You're not going to become to be part of our club. Look for another club. And trust me, that was the end of it. Like, I was done. I asked myself, do I have to keep insisting that Kenya nimeandika? That is the reason I want to become a journalist, So why do you feel that is not a reason enough for me to become a journalist? Why is journalism club even there? See, it's supposed to help you grow. And I was done. And I started thinking of what else can I become. Actually, from the embarrassment of calling me loud and clear before 44 students and saying that to me, one, that was very wrong, and then it was just something like you will get done with that thing. Hata huwezi push yourself into asking someone else, do you think I am worthy, do you think I am worthy? No, you're done. And I decided I want to discover myself in just a different area. And that is how I in form 1 ikienda, when form 1 was ending, I decided I want to go ahead and ask this question to my physics teacher, because I realized I started loving sciences and history, and humanities, that is history and geography, became something I didn't love at all. So I loved sciences, and I was done, because niliamua hata English. I remember English, Kiswahili became something I didn't even want to enjoy. I didn't even enjoy learning, but I started enjoying physics, because I realized the teacher who taught us physics in form 1 made me understand physics like anything that we do. Like, why would there was a question alikuwa tu anatuuliza, mbona mlango ukifungua inakuwa na hiyo sauti? Kwa sababu ya anakupea jibu. Mbona ukirub if you rub your arula on your hair, it will pick anakupea jibu. It will pick a paper, anakupea jibu. There was a lot of physics in our day-to-day life that made me love physics. And then it was applicable. So I loved physics. In Form 2, we chose subjects, and I loved physics again. And I picked 3 sciences, left history, and I left history and geography, and I also took CRE. So I am here with chemistry, biology, physics, and then everything else except humanities. And through the journey, I remember in Form 2 there was a teacher who came in, and he became the school electrician. Alikuwa anaenda from one corner of the he used to go to any place in the school, from the substation to power points to install stima mahali anywhere, change stima, change bulbs, kuenda change switches, anything. He would just do anything. Kwenda kitchen, where he would do hapo mahali kulikuwa na transformers, to bakery, and looking with the machines and playing around with electricity and making sure everything is fine. I got interested, na nikamwambia, can I join in anytime you're doing this and I don't have a class? See, definitely evenings and Saturdays, Sundays. Na akaniambia sure. And I was in, and I decided to go. And one day I remember Kenya Power came. Alafu sinajua Kenya Power, how they will go up the post with those shoes, and I admired that. I remember nilisimama hapo. I had a chemistry class, and then the chemistry teacher tulikuwa tunamuita KN akapita, akaniona nimejiangalia huyo mtu, akaniambia ukimaliza ukuje class. So I had permission to just stand there and look. So that person from Kenya Power, venye alishuka alinipea viatu nikapanda, and I was so excited. That was the best day of my life. Nikapanda nothing. Akaniambia usiguze kitu, wewe panda tu alafu ushuke. And I just wish I thought of kuchukua a photo. Mr. Getao, who was also the lab technician who used to have a camera in school, hakuwa, so sikukumbuka that a phone can also have a camera na nichukue. Anyway, then we didn't have permission to ask for teachers' phones and all that. So nikaamua, okay, you know what? Ni sawa, mi nimepanda. Hiyo experience yenyewe ilinifanya I was a happy girl, and I decided, yes, mi siku moja ndapanda hapa. Nikamaliza shule, and Kamahoa Girls was gone, and I had to join college. I went ahead, I joined college, I joined Thika Technical Training Institute. I did a diploma in electrical and electronics engineering. My friend, once I was done with like, I remember it was a module. I went for 3 years. The first year, the second year. The first year I went for there was an attachment after tulikuwa tunafanya kitu inaitwa NEC exams are serious exams, Kenya National Examination Council. Mimi sijui, but those guys, my friend, if you don't want to ever do another NEC, please make sure you pass your exams in Form 4. Kenya National Examination Council, NEC. in technical. It's a serious thing. It even made me tired right there. So nikamaliza, I was done with school, and I joined working. Now I was working. I remember in my attachments, because after 2 terms of learning, the third time you have to go for attachment, and I was happy. The second year I was happy. The third year I noticed that I am not okay. I used to wake up in the morning, I would go to work, but I was not so okay. It started making me feel, the fulfillment that you have once you have done something. It's what, if it's not there, it's not there. You can't force it. If it's not there, it's not there. So I didn't have fulfillment, but I still worked. So one time I got a job in Nairobi, and I went to Nairobi, and I lived with my brother. So one morning I woke up, and it was actually around July. So it was only August, and then I was supposed to go to university to pursue a degree in it. And I remember July, August was just the most busy year in my mind, figuring out what I'll tell my dad that I don't want to do a degree. I want to do another diploma, which I didn't know I wanted to do a what, but I really wanted to venture into media at this point. So through the journey, I knew I wanted to go back to media, but how, I didn't know. So one time I woke up in the morning, and I opened a YouTube channel, and I had a brand name called Salimo, and I decided to open Salimo Production YouTube channel. Nikafungua mi nikaanzia kuongelesha watu hapo, and for the first time I had 293 viewers. Na wakawatch, and they appreciated me, and they were commenting, "Go girl, go, we are cheering you up, hey, nini." Hey, at this point I'm like, yes, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. I am going for it. Mimi nikaenda kwenda. I remember waking up in the morning, and my brother, nikaona brothangu anatoka kwa mlango, nikamwambia, by the way bro, nataka kuachana na engineering, nifanye a course in media. Akaniambia, yeah, go for it. Niko like, wait, yeah, go for it. Akaniambia, enda uangalie shule inaitwa ADMI, and then talk to dad about it. Hey, mimi mbio tao, nikaenda ADMI, nikaangalia shule, my friend. The school was very expensive. Lakini nikama, you know what, I really want this. I'll just talk to dad. Now, the longest day of my life was the day I had to go and tell dad that I am not going to join university. I will join another college to do another diploma. Mi nikaingia, nakumbuka it was on a weekend. Nikaenda home, tuko hapo tunataka kuomba. Mi nikaambia dad, I need to tell you something, and mom, that I don't want to continue with engineering. I want to do a course in media. And dad was very specific and very sure. Akaniambia, I had been waiting for the day you will defer from engineering. Dad, actually dad, these are the words ati kutoka, since the day I entered Thika Technical, dad, I've been waiting for that day. I'll say, dad, I want to talk to you, and I will just come and just say, dad, I cannot continue with engineering. He was so excited that I finished a diploma, but he was 99% sure I might not join a university. I will change the course. He was sure. So this was the statement. I had been waiting for this. And how old are you? Nikamwambia. Akaniambia, you are old enough to make your own decision. I need you in school. And that was it, my friend. That was the most relaxing answer from a father. After you have spent his money in a course, and then you want to change that, it's like you've wasted your 3 years. Well, you have not wasted, but it's like you have anyway. So there you are. Na mimi story ikaisha, and dad was like, when are you going to school? Mom ndiye alikuwa na issue because ana feel, mtoto wangu nini shida yake? What has just happened to my daughter? Why are you changing? Why are you turning around? I thought you will be a great engineer. now mom is not happy about it, but we had to try and convince mom and be like, mom, no, don't worry, everything will be fine and everything, and boom, si tukafika mahali tuko like, twendete, lazima tufanye hii kitu, and we were in, and we had to do it. Mimi, in my journey, I realized I want to be in media when it was too late, and but they gave me, sometimes for you to discover yourself, you have to have you have to have someone who will just tell you, hey, you need to do this, or number 2, you just have to have time. Unaonanga ile time yenye utapewa tu wewe mwenyewe ujidiscover, so you can make mistakes. Some people say allow them to make mistakes, because trust me, they will make mistakes and they will turn around and come back. They will make mistakes. They will make people. I will make mistake. Someone else makes mistake. We all make mistakes. And then you will just come back and be like, I told you. Because my dad was like, Ali, tulijaribu kuambiana. No, it wouldn't have made sense then. But it is now making sense because nime make mistake and then I have discovered myself. So let me tell you guys, there comes a time when you have to discover yourself. There comes a time when utaambiwa na utasikia that, hey, you have, let me tell you, the voice that you're hearing here, the voice, this one.
You are tuned in Salimo 254. This is Good Morning Africa.
That man, I know everyone is like, that man sounds like Jeff Koinange. Yes. But let me tell you, this is my good friend in ADMI. But this is what hurts me most about him. He's doing animation. Of all things, he's doing animation. Sasa namuulizanga, my friend, you're doing animation and you have an amazing voice of a journalist. You have an amazing voice of just being on our TVs. You uko na sura ya TV, you have amazing voice. Why are you not on TVs? Actually, he is one reason I actually decided to do this topic today. And I am happy that I did it. And I need to talk to you, Mr. Kioni. Mr. Kioni, listen, you need to discover yourself. If people will not tell you in here, then discover you. I pray that God will lead you into self-discovery and you will discover that you have an amazing face and voice. I'll say like Jeff said, deep down your throat, God have given you a gift that will take you to wherever you've always wanted to be. There we go. So listen to this voice again and just tell me, huyu mtu hafai kuwa kwa TV yako on your screens ukimwatch.
You are tuned in Salimo 254. This is Good Morning Africa.
There we go. So yes, we need to, once we discover ourselves, then it's easy. Now I'm going to let you listen to Jeff Koinange, who we are featuring as the African icon, and Jeff Koinange have written a book called Through My African Eyes. Went through so many phases of life and discovered Africa in different way, and now through the book we are able to see Africa through his eyes. And I would love you to just listen, but mostly why this one, it's in chapter 3 of his book, and it's the first episode on a topic a day, and it is amazing that a chapter a day, and it's amazing that he was able to discover himself, and he realized that he was born to be a journalist, and he was born to communicate and send a message to people. You understand? He was born as a communicator, as someone who will influence people through his own voice. Okay? But now he had made a different turn of becoming a cabin crew in a flight attendant. But now let us listen to his story and let us understand why I am talking about self-discovery.
Welcome to Miami. None of us knew what spring break meant at the time, but whatever it was, we had never imagined anything like it. The picture of spring break, Miami, 1986, will forever be etched in my memory. I remember saying to myself, this is where I want to be. I love this country. Despite the jet lag, we stayed up for a while watching the scenes unfolding before us as though we were in a zoo on the set of a Hollywood movie. Now, the next day, reality set in as classes began at 7 a.m. for the first group. We arrived at the Pan American Academy promptly at 4 p.m. and were ushered into the classroom. For the next 8 hours, instructor after instructor came in and taught us the ins and outs of the various aircrafts we would be flying, from the Boeing 727 to the massive 747, which would carry more than 400 passengers. It was all pretty basic, but intense. We were tested every day and the scores tallied for an overall grade. We were told that only 30 of us out of 40 would make the cut at the end of the 8 weeks. 10 candidates would have to be let go. Competition was therefore very intense, but still very friendly. I sensed by the end of the week, the instructors already knew who would not make the cut. It was much like the first week at boot camp. The drill sergeant knows early who will and who will not make it. In the third week, the classes became more demanding. We were taught how to handle emergencies. Classes consisted of emergency scenarios, and we were drilled on how to deploy the emergency rafts as well as gauging possible trouble situations. This was undoubtedly the most challenging part of the course because failure in the daily tests meant immediate expulsion and a ticket back to Nairobi. This happened to several of our colleagues who failed the instructions required during a ditching. This is when the aircraft ends up in the water. Simulation took place in a swimming pool and we had to improvise being in an ocean. It was sad seeing our colleagues go, but we were reminded that this was not a holiday, and failure to follow procedure would mean the difference between life and death for passengers. We also had to undergo a physical examination every 2 weeks, including blood tests. Another colleague was declared unfit after a second test, and he was immediately sent home. Someone later said that traces of illegal substances had been found in his blood. Now, on the few occasions that we had the day off in Miami, Ian, my roommate, and I would arrange for both sets of classes to get together to come to our room for a party. Most would accept our invitations, eager to take some time off from the hectic routine. We would buy beer and sodas, which were pretty affordable with our monthly stipends, and then we would fill our bathtub with ice and drinks. I remember Fred, in particular, loved his music and would be the designated disc jockey. And Mike, Richard, the three musketeers, Maggie, Gloria, Betsy, Rose would always be there. Once in a while, the bravest among us would venture out to the clubs in Miami area just to experience what it was like. Miami was both exciting and an eye-opener beyond our wildest expectations. Miami, it seemed, never went to sleep, and we adapted fast. Lucky for us, our classes did not begin until the afternoon, so we could sleep off most hangovers from the night before. Now, there was a funny incident that happened about 2 weeks into our training. A group of us walked into McDonald's. Many of you know the famous franchise McDonald's, famous throughout the world for its burgers and tasty fries. But this was new to us at the time. We knew it was a place to eat because there was one everywhere we looked. Fast food was a foreign concept to us Africans, but in America, it seemed to be what everyone ate. On every street, typically, there'll be a McDonald's, a Pizza Hut, a Wendy's, or the like, all in a row. It was a junk food enthusiast's dream. However, to us, it seemed quite strange. Now, many of you know that when you go to McDonald's, you pick a tray, order your food, then proceed to the table to have your meal. Once done, you pick up your tray with the wrappings, toss the contents into the trash, and lay the tray table on top of that table. Well, it just so happens that one of our colleagues, Charlie, decided to throw everything into the trash bin, including the tray. He was not alone. The rest of us followed suit, thinking it was the right thing to do. 6 strays disappeared into the trash that day. The McDonald's staff must have thought we were from another planet. But in retrospect, I get a good laugh thinking how we were trying to fall in line, imitating the locals, and yet we did not fit quite right. Now, the weeks at Pan Am Slide Academy flew by, and we quickly adjusted to the routine of late afternoon classes and even later nights. It was great waking up to the late breakfast at McDonald's, occasionally visiting a nearby flea market for some shopping, a bit of siesta, and then getting ready for afternoon classes. At midnight, we would walk back, pick up a 6-pack on the way to the hotel, and revise a little before usual drinking session. Despite the laid-back routine, classes were great. We were all business because we understood what was at stake. It was a chance to land a job that would see us travel the world, something many young people from the developing world could never dream of. I managed to maintain a 95% average, always had top marks, and was a favorite among the instructors. By week 6, we were expected to simulate real-life scenarios. As part of the simulation, a real aircraft was parked on the tarmac at the academy. The morning group simulated actual working flights, while we, the evening group, simulated passengers. Even as passengers, we were told to observe and take notes from our colleagues. It was time to practice what we had learned in the classroom. We were working under the supervision of actual seasoned Pan Am flight attendants who took time off from their work. All were based out of New York, and all had pretty much experience in flying and working. There were certain duties on the aircraft that some people are drawn to. Some like working the back of the aircraft where the passenger load is heavy. Others prefer the upper deck, especially on a 747 where the business class are demanding and the workload is less hectic. And then there are those who prefer first class, where the passengers are picky, the service has to be perfect, because at the end of the day, these are the passengers who pay our salaries, and for the most part, they make it known to us. I actually did not mind working anywhere in the aircraft. Variety was fun, and more challenging the duties, the quicker the flight time seemed. However, the instructors had other plans for me. They recognized that I had a good voice and always insisted I serve first class so that I could make the in-house announcements. The service was easy, and doing the welcome and safety announcements was fun. Actually, here's how it began. One day, the instructors literally told me, "Hey, Jeff, go up to that microphone up there and go to the instruction books and read the welcome announcements." I said, "No problem." Walked up to the first class, grabbed the microphone, and I said, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard Pan American Clipper Flight 089 from Nairobi, Kenya. Onwards to Lagos, Nigeria, with continuing services to Monrovia, Dakar, and New York. All of us are trained in cabin safety, and we ask that you watch and listen carefully as we review the safety features of this Pan American Boeing 747. That's what I said on the mic, and I stopped, and I looked around, and one of the instructors looked at me and said, "Do that again." I said, "Do what again?" He said, "Do exactly what you did again." I said, "Oh, okay." I thought I had done something wrong, so I got on the mic. "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard Pan American Clipper Flight 089 from Nairobi, Kenya, with continuing services to Lagos, Monrovia, Dakar, and New..." He said, "You're the guy." And I said, "I'm what guy?" He said, "You're that guy." And right away, I knew what he meant. The guy who would make those announcements. To cut a long story short, once we graduated from the Pan American Flight Academy in Miami, came back to Nairobi and started working the flights, I'll do the same thing. We started working as real flight attendants. I was like, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard Pan American Club Flights." It was, it was an act. It was fun. It was fantastic. I would tell you, 7 times out of 10, passengers would be like, "Oh my goodness. Oh, is that a radio announcement? Is that a recording announcement?" And my colleagues would tell them, "No, it's that guy over there in the front. It's him. And they would say, call him. We want to talk, call him. 7 times out of 10, passengers, and we're talking 747 with more than 400 passengers on board, 7 times out of 10, I'd have people asking for me to go and talk to them. And of course, after the service, I would go back and they'd say, hey, listen, kid, I was 20 years old, 20 years at the time. They'd say, hey, kid, you're wasting your time. That voice, that gift you have in the middle of your throat, that is your gift. And I would laugh every time I'd say, come on, man. I mean, this is just fun. I love doing what I do. But every other time I'd get a stranger, passenger, no, someone I didn't know, telling me, hey, kid, go out and make something with that voice. And after a while, it kept hammering into my mind, kept hammering, despite the fun we had of flying, despite, I loved being a flight attendant. I loved serving passengers. I loved flying and seeing the world. By the way, that same December, 1986, the Nigerian government stopped paying Pan Am in US dollars. They said they didn't have any more US dollars to pay the flight coming in and going out. And Pan Am had to discontinue that flight. So we stopped flying from Nairobi to West Africa to New York. And instead, a new base was created in Frankfurt, Germany, which is where they redirected all of us. But Frankfurt meant a new aircraft, so we had to go for extra training in Berlin. Can you imagine those days, 1986, Berlin was still part of Eastern Europe. There was still a point where East Berlin was separated from West Berlin. And we were flying into this place for further training because the Airbus Academy was in Berlin, where we trained for the A310, the A320, the A300, all that was in Berlin. So we stopped the entire operation in West Africa and started now flying from Nairobi to Frankfurt, although we did that training in Berlin. And while we were in Berlin, we got a chance to see that dividing wall. Imagine that. They called it Checkpoint Charlie or Checkpoint C. That divided East Berlin from West Berlin. Of course, 2-3 years later, that wall came crashing down. But that's a story for another day. But it was incredible. It was incredible working for the airline. I loved it. After a year and a half, I decided, you know what? Maybe it's time for me to pursue my gift, the gift that God gave me. It's time to leave this airline, as great as it was, and fly to America and pursue my dream. By the way, while flying to Frankfurt, most of us would stay an entire week because it was one flight a week to Nairobi, from Frankfurt to Nairobi. But in between, if you wanted to, you could fly to other destinations and work those destinations. London, Paris, Milan, Dubrovnik in what was then Yugoslavia. We could fly to New Delhi back then, Bombay, which later became Mumbai, Karachi in Pakistan. We got a chance to see Tel Aviv in Israel. We got a chance to see the entire world just based in Frankfurt. And then at the end of the week, we would get onto the Nairobi flight, fly to Nairobi, and be off for a week or so. I did that for a while until the middle of 1987. Actually, the exact date is the 7th of July, 1987. I quit from Pan Am, completely quit. And I said, I'm going to pursue my dream. It was a shock to most of my colleagues who thought, you know what, this is a great life. Why you want to do this? But I knew I had something more. There was something in the back of my mind telling me, there's a dream out there for you. There's something out there. You have to go and see it. And sometimes maybe some of you find yourself in that position. You feel there's something more you want to do, something more you want to achieve. Sometimes you fight it, or the demons inside you fight you. But at the end of the day, it's up to you. It's up to you. So I quit and I left Nairobi for New York in 1987, and I began my new life. But I got to tell you a couple of incidents that happened while we were flying, because it's incredible. It's like a prelude to later on. And I mentioned earlier on, Liberia was definitely one of my most favorite destinations. I don't know why. The country, Africa's oldest republic, incredible, amazing people, amazing country. And there's some calm to it. By the way, did you know that Kenyans in the 70s would fly to Liberia on holiday? That's how peaceful and calm that country was. Later on, of course, it was in a crazy civil war, but I'll tell you about that later on. So, during one incident, it happened on the flight from Lagos to Monrovia. We were waiting on board for the incoming passengers. Suddenly, there was a rush at the forward door. Several military men entered the aircraft, went straight to seat 1A, in first class, of course, and stood there. A short while later, several more military men entered and escorted an impeccably dressed man to the seat. We learned that the VIP, obviously was a VIP, was Liberia's Minister for Finance. I was working in the front of the aircraft and went over to introduce myself. He was warm and pleasant and told us simply to call him Emmanuel. But I insisted on calling him Your Excellency. He turned out to be a great passenger, and we had a wonderful flight. We landed in Monrovia, where more bodyguards in military fatigues boarded the flight and escorted the minister out with the usual theatrics. Now, we cleared the aircraft and got ready for the usual exchange and headed to our hotel across the road. 30 minutes later, the phone in my room rang. There was a gentleman in military fatigues to see me. Somewhat concerned, I rushed downstairs to the reception. After a brief exchange, the official told me that he was sent by the Honorable Minister of Finance to accompany the entire crew as guests to his hotel on the other side of town. It was now, by the way, 11 p.m. in Monrovia, and I told him we were grateful, but it would be too late, and maybe we could take the minister up on the offer another time. The military man was not taking no for an answer, and he explained that all the arrangements had been made and there were vehicles outside ready to escort us. He seemed like he was in no mood for an argument. I asked him to give me a few minutes to round up the crew. 20 minutes later, about 6 crew members turned up, ready for the adventure ahead. Now, Monrovia was a good 45 minutes away, and we drove in a convoy through the dark, somber highway. There were checkpoints all along the way, but each time the driver would stick out his head and say, "Guests of the Minister of Finance." And each time we were let through with a stiff salute. An hour later, we were in the capital, and surprisingly, the streets were lit up and everything seemed to come to life. We drove on for another 15 minutes until we came to a residential neighborhood. There was one final checkpoint and we were driven into a huge complex that seemed more like a hotel. In fact, it was a hotel. A sign on it said, Hotel Africa. We had heard about this hotel. It was one of the finest in West Africa, complete with an underground nightclub, a casino, live entertainment 7 days a week. It appeared that we were expected, and we were ushered in and taken straight to the underground nightclub. The place was teeming with partygoers, dancing and gyrating to the African beat as we were led to the VIP section. As we entered, there he was, Emmanuel Shaw III, the Minister of Finance, sipping champagne and smoking a giant Cuban cigar. He rose to greet us, and before we could thank him for his gesture, he simply said, "Thanks for the wonderful service. I can honestly say that was one of the best flights I have ever flown. Come, let's have a drink." Now, you can imagine the shock on our faces. And having said that, it was a night we will never forget. The champagne was flowing and the whiskey and the wine came in plenty all night long. It was in the wee hours of the morning when the DJ announced the last song. We were still in the VIP booth and the minister turned to us and said, "I've arranged rooms for all of you. You will be my guests for the weekend." We could not believe it. All this for doing what we were paid to do? What was the catch? It turned out there was no catch. It was just one man's appreciation for our services and professionalism. Needless to say, we checked into our rooms just as the sun was coming up and ended up sleeping most of the day. Late in the afternoon, I woke up and decided to do some sightseeing. I made my way past the lobby into the pool area. That is when it hit me. The reason the hotel was called Hotel Africa was because the swimming pool was built in the shape of the map of Africa, complete with a bar right in the middle, right about Congo there. Beyond the hotel were dozens of chalets right on the beach. Apparently, Hotel Africa had been built in the late 1970s when then President William Talbot was elected chairman of the Organization of African Unity, OAU. He had decided to build 50 chalets, representing what were then 50 African states. We ended up spending the entire weekend at Hotel Africa, and when we finally returned to Roberts Field International Airport and Roberts Field Hotel, we found a bit of a crisis in progress. Apparently, no one knew where half the crew had disappeared and gone to, and the ground personnel were frantically calling everywhere from Nairobi to New York to find out what had happened. We got a real telling off from our supervisors, who were in a panic. It was a lesson about always letting someone know whenever one decides to leave the base of operations. So a year and a half after being a flight attendant for Pan Am, decided to call it quits because I had found something deep down inside my throat that I knew was my gift. So the next part was going to work on that gift, to churn that gift, to make that gift come to life. That's when I decided that broadcast journalism was going to be my life. Being a journalist, telling the African story, that was going to be my life.
Amazing, amazing. How about that, guys? How about that? I mean, thank you very much, Jeff. If you want his book, you can find his book Through the African Eyes, actually a signed book. He himself have signed the book in Textbook Center. You will find his books. Yes. Now, we go on and we continue with our podcast. And you know what? Today, now, out of the topic of the day and the feature of by an African icon, now we go to
3 facts about Africa.
Yes, facts about Africa. Facts. Today we are just going to check on 3 facts about Africa. I hope you remember yesterday the 3 facts we checked into. Please go to my first podcast and just listen to the facts, the 3 facts we talked about, and now we go to today's facts. Now, Africa is home of the world's oldest university. It is called University of Karouin. Yes, University of Karouin in Morocco. It is the oldest university in the world. Now, it's interesting how there was a university way, way long ago, before even Africa was colonized, and before education was brought to Africa. But interestingly enough, it is in Morocco, and but it was started by not people who came to colonize that place, but people who just discovered that Africa would have a university of their own, and they built a university before any other university was built. It was just a simple school because the truth is, long time ago there was some education, there was some cultural normal wachana na hii ya vitabu. There was just that learning, because especially for my motherland and Kenya, and my language group, my community Kikuyu, before we even learned any other language, even in our nursery school, we used to learn Kikuyu. I remember us just learning Kikuyu. Why? Because that was something we needed to learn, because it is what we are born, and we need to understand, one, the culture that of the community we were born in. We need to understand the language and be able to talk and write it. Meaning, before any other education came in, there was some there was some learning that was happening long ago. You get my point? Now, that said, we will come when we are learning about Morocco, because we will have a country a day in Africa. When we are learning about Morocco, then trust me, we will get to understand more about this Africa's oldest university in the world. All right. So we go to number 2. The world largest hottest desert is in Africa. The world largest hottest desert is in Africa. Which is this desert? This desert is Sahara Desert. Now, Sahara Desert covers 11 countries. One is Algeria, Chad, Egypt, Libya, Mali, Mauritius, Morocco, Niger, Western Sahara, Sudan, and Tunisia. So meaning, if you go to any of these 11 countries in Africa, you will be able to visit Sahara Desert, which is the largest and the hottest desert in Africa and in the world. So Africa is the host of the largest and the hottest desert in the world. Okay, and then the last thing is today, because we're just doing 3 beautiful facts about Africa. The last one is the world's largest, tallest, and fastest animals comes from Africa. Okay, the world's largest, which is elephant, tallest, giraffe, and fastest, cheetah, animals come from Africa. How about that? So meaning Africa is it has beautiful facts. We will keep digging into these facts more and more, and then you will discover so many other things about Africa. So the first thing we said about Africa today is that it hosts the world oldest university, that is in Morocco, and also number 2, it is the home, or it hosts the world largest and hottest desert, which is Sahara Desert, and finally it is the host, it hosts the world largest, tallest, and fastest animals in the world. Okay, this is amazing. This is a beautiful country. It's an amazing country, and we are happy. We are happy to be black, and I think so far, with all the facts that I'm finding, the 6 facts I already have, and I've already covered, I think I am happy to be black, and I'm excited that I am black. And what about we listen to the song that, hey, we free black people because we are happy to be black. And today we are not even singing into be we free black people from anything. We are just freeing black people from that self-colonization. You don't want to show yourself to the world. You just want to oppress yourself there. No, free yourself. Now it is time for you. We are not singing BLM. We are not singing free ourselves from colonization and we need to be free. No, we are now singing free yourself from not discovering yourself. Now self-discover yourself and grow to it. Outgrow that comfort zone and be who you're supposed to be. Yo, black people, African people, good morning, Africa.
Yeah. Martin Luther, black. Malcolm X, black. Marcus Garvey, black. Barack Obama, black. Bill Clinton, black. How you think about that? How a leap of great, some of the greatest people in African history document that. So free up black people, live up black people. I in a jailhouse, someone feel like people. Mental shackles and chain in a brain, them trap people. So free up black people, free up black people. In a jailhouse, someone feel like people. Mental shackles and chain in a brain, them trap people. Yeah, my point is, the meat conviction in every earth, I mean no matter what the fight is. And it was written long before the 80s or the 90s, before the colonel find the herbs and spices. Black people don't get caught in a them system. Just overcome and don't become a victim. Cause them system set for them get the future, only the history will get. So free up black people, live up black people. I in a jailhouse, someone feel like people. Mental shackles and chain in a brain, them trap people. So free up black people, free up black people. In a jailhouse, someone feel like people. Mental shackles and chain in a brain, them trap people. Don't forget, you see and bold black. Greatest of the greats, check the record on the track. Asafa, Shelley and Fraser, Merlin, Natty, Ben Johnson and Quarry, me fi tell you about that. Bob Marley, Muhammad Ali and Denzel Washington. Too many to mention. Whitney Houston, Michael Jordan, from the African lineage of River Jordan. Live up black people, live up black people. I in a jailhouse, someone feel like people. Mental shackles and chain in a brain, them trap people. So free up black people, free up black people. In a jailhouse, someone feel like people. Mental shackles and chain in a brain, them trap people. Free up black people, live up black people.
Okay, finally we go to
A country a day in Africa.
today. Is just an amazing day because yesterday I told you we'll talk about it. We'll talk about Kenya. Kenya, my motherland. Kenya is my motherland. Now, Kenya is where this is where I was born and this is where I live. The better part of it is just that according to yesterday's history or yesterday's story and facts about Africa, Kenya is number 24 in square kilometer when it comes to which is the largest. Kenya is number 24 in square kilometer. Number 2 among the 54 countries that we have in Africa. Number 2, Kenya is in East Africa. Yesterday I told you that Africa is divided in 5 and Kenya is in East Africa. Number 3, Kenya gained its independence in 1963. 1963 is when Kenya gained its independence and it was colonized by the British. Okay? Are we there? All right. It is in point form where we just get to understand, oh, okay. Kenya has had 4 presidents, 2 prime ministers, and 11 vice presidents. So who are these? Jomo Kenyatta, the late Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, who ruled from 1963 to 1978. Then we had the late Daniel Arap Moi, who ruled from 1978 to 2002. Those were 24 good years. Oh, that president. Okay. Then the third president was Mwai Kibaki, who ruled 2002 to 2013. And then we have finally the current president, who is Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, Honorable, who ruled from 2013, and we'll have our next election 2022. Okay? Meaning ruling for 10 years. Yes. Now, something interesting is that 2 prime ministers happened in Kenya. Number 1, the first prime minister who happened, and that was before he became the president. That was before the position was meant to changed from prime minister to presidency, was the late Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. And then we had a prime minister during the Kibaki era, second term of Kibaki era, 2007 to 2013. That was Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. Now, when it comes to vice presidents, the late Mzee Jomo Kenyatta had 3 vice presidents during his time. The late former president Daniel Moi had 4 vice presidents. And then Mwai Kibaki, former president, had 3 vice presidents. And the current president, who is Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, have one who is DP Ruto. Okay? So that is how, when it comes to politics, that is where we lie. Now, Kenya is a democratic nation. That means it is according to politics, anyone and anyone and everyone in Kenya can go ahead and vie for a seat, as long as you're actually are registered with a registered party. You're able to run for a seat, okay, or a registered candidate. You're able to run for a seat. Away from politics, the national language is English and Kiswahili. That is the national language. Kenya has 42 communities. 42 communities is what we are. So other than English and Kiswahili, other communities and other we call them mother tongues, and the first language that people speak. We have 42 other communities in Kenya. Meaning we have so many other languages that are spoken in Kenya, but the national languages is English and Kiswahili. The other point is Kenya's population in 2020 is exactly 53,771,296. Okay. Saying that better is 53,771,296 people. That is by June 27, 2020. Yes, from the research or the current statistics that is showing. So June, that was last month sometime. So maybe other children have been born, and definitely that has changed. The other thing that we need to know, this is interesting. I love it. I just love saying it because it takes people back into, oh yeah, I have a holiday there, I have a holiday here. Yes. So we have these are the holidays that we celebrate in Kenya. One, we have New Year, which is in January. And from there all the way to April, we have Easter holiday. Then we have 1st May is always Labor Day, which is, it focuses on workers and employees and all that. Then June 1st is Madaraka Day. Madaraka Day is the country's independence. This was 1963 when we attained our independence. That is in 1963. Then in June again, a certain date, we have Eid Fitri, which is a celebration by our brothers and sisters, the Muslim community. Then in October we have Mashujaa Day. Mashujaa Day happens because of those people. We celebrate those people who were involved in the struggle towards independence of Kenya. Then in December 12th, we have Jamhuri Day. This is now in 1964. In December 1964, 12th, we were able to attain full independence from the Britain. Okay? All right. And finally, 25th is Christmas, and then we go back to New Year. Okay? So those are the few holidays that we have. Definitely we have the world's, but they are not holidays other than that. So we're just taking on holidays that happens. Something that we have not mentioned, Kenya is actually have from county 01 to county 047. Kenya has exactly 47 counties. Okay? Kenya has exactly 47 counties. Okay, let's continue. Now, Kenya hosts, or it is one of the hosts. In Africa, we have many other hosts, but Kenya hosts the big 5. That is the elephant, rhino, buffalo, leopard, and the lion. So we have the lion, the leopard, the buffalo, the rhino, and the elephant. When poaching was happening, these were the most dangerous animals to hunt, and also they were not the poachers and the hunters were not able to hunt these animals, and that is why they were called the big 5. But today we call them the big 5 because definitely they are big 5. Okay, yes. So then poaching is illegal in Kenya. It is very, very illegal. Kenya is home of the world's record runners. So Kenya, huku ndiko, when people go running, you hear Kenya and people start singing the song, E Mungu nguvu yetu, that song when it is sung, that is the Kenyan national anthem. And not to forget that the most recent, we're still celebrating it, is Eliud Kipchoge, who broke. Actually, it was his own record of running the challenge, the 2 hours challenge, beating the 2 hours at Ineos. So yes, Eliud Kipchoge is from Kenya. Yes. The other thing is Kenya is one of the world leading safari destinations, where we have Masai Mara. When the great wild beast is migrating, it migrates to from Masai Mara to Serengeti and back. You get. And the great wild beast has the wild beast, and then in it there are antelopes and zebras who follow in. So the great wild beast migration happens with two other animals that travel with them, which is the zebra and the antelope. That is from Kenya, Masai Mara. Wow. From Kenya, Masai Mara to Serengeti in Tanzania. Okay. All right. Let's go to authors. This is one thing that I really wanted to talk about, because today on the feature of an African icon, we were talking about Jeff Koinange, who have written a book through the African eye. So we go to the authors of the great authors of African stories, and yes. So number 1 is Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Ngugi wa Thiong'o have written a book. One is called Weep Not Child. This is a documentary, a book that he has documented the effects of Mau Mau on ordinary Kenyan citizen. Then also ameandika another book called The Grain Wheat, which focuses on the Kenyan struggle of independence. Okay, so that is Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Then we have Binyaranga Wainaina. One day I will write about the place. That is the book. Actually, the title is One Day I Will Write About the Place. How to Write About Africa. Those are the 2 books he has written. And also one is In Your Text, Treat Africa as If It Were One Country. Now, in his book, How to Write About Africa, in his book, that is what he has said. In your text, treat Africa as if it were one country, which makes me feel that I think by the end of the day we want an Africa that is one country. Maybe that will one day happen. I pray it will happen one day. We have Modoni Goland. Modoni Goland have written a book by the name Halfway Between Nairobi and Halfway Between Nairobi and Dandora. This is a document. It documents a troubled marriage against the backdrop of a rapid modernizing Kenya, tracking the scent of my mother. Now, Margaret focuses on writing about marriage in Kenya, and specifically in Kenya, and that makes the book makes the title make sense in our heads. Get my point? Okay, then we go to so there are so many other writers, but now I'll focus on the last one, the last 2 writers. One is Margaret Ogola, Place of Destiny, and another book called The River and the Source. Now, The River and the Source, I really want to talk about this book because I gave you my story about me being in high school. And in high school in 2012, we actually did this book, The River and the Source. The River and the Source was our set book. It was written in 1994. It was read again first of when I was born in 1996 all the way to 2000 for 4 years. And then it was dropped again. And then it was read again later, when now this person who was born in this year was now in high school and needed to do a set book, and we did the river and the source. Now, the river and the source, many times, many people that I have checked have given the river and the source 3 stars and not 4, or 4 stars and not 5. Why? Because the river and the source is an amazing book. It gives you a very amazing picture of 3 generations of families, 3 generations that brings a difference in the family and in the world. And then it helps to give you a picture of the Luo land. It gives you a very nice picture of the Luo land, and it helps you understand the community and how people deal and work. It's an amazing art piece. But my problem is the 1 star that people never give this book is because it upholds, or it creates an environment for a woman to thrive, but now kills the man, really. Because this woman focuses, Margaret Ogola, this writer focuses on making sure that all men die before the book ends, and all women, and many women, remain powerful and amazing. The challenge that may be there is how, maybe because those years women didn't have any power, and maybe Margaret felt, I really want to empower women until men have nowhere. But I feel it is good to just empower everyone else and have all of us equally having equal positions in up there. You understand? So it will be a good thing to just do that. Now, having that in mind, then you already know who Africa, you already understand so many things about Africa, and specifically Kenya. Finally, I'm going to talk about Through the African Eye. That is a book by Jeff Koinange. We all know Jeff Koinange, who is a brand himself, who hosts a show on Citizen TV. He's an employee of Royal Media Services, hosts a show in the morning, a breakfast show in the morning on Hot 96, Jeff and Hamo in the morning, and also Jeff Koinange Live, it's on the bench. And finally, he has this book, this amazing book that he has written. You heard it, and we played the clip on self-discovery. And through this book, because I have been watching his videos on a chapter a day, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and every time I listen or watch, I feel the picture and the amazing translation, and how I am able to even experience myself in South Africa. I'm able to experience myself in Nigeria. I'm able to experience myself right there at Niger Delta, just listening to that story that is very scary, and I feel I was there, and I feel the emotions and everything that comes out of it. And by the end of the day, I feel this is an amazing book to understand and to know that this is a picture. Yes, out of the 54 countries, he was able to go to 47 countries, and he was able to write those stories in here. And that is why I love this book very much. And I need to just encourage you guys to just buy this book, because as I talk about Africa, you also need to your own research, your own understanding about it. Because sometimes I will tell you, the other person will tell you their perspective about Africa, the other person. By the end of the day, you will just have to have your own perspective about Africa. But mostly, because today's topic is on self-discovery, I need you to discover yourself and know who you are, know who you're called to be, and know why you're called to be who you are by the end of the day, okay? And thank you very much. Thank you, because I think that is where we close the day. That is where we close our podcast, and that is how we close it, with just telling you that Africa is great and Africa is amazing. But I will just put this, the last thing that we do is to make sure we send the quote of the day. And our quote of the day today is an African quote that helps us understand and know that we as Africans, we as Kenyans, on self-discovery, yes, the quote of the day on self-discovery, I need you to understand that some travel to see the difference, others travel to make the difference. I hope you got that. Some travel to see the difference, others travel to make the difference. So now tell me, if you left here and went to another country, will you go to see the difference that is there between you, and you start comparing Africa and America, Africa and Australia, Africa and, or are you going ahead and you will see what's happening and make a difference because of who you are? Because many times we don't make a difference because we saw something and change. We make a difference because of who we are. That is why if today a prefect came to class and we were making noise, we go silent. Not because of just the person who have entered, but by the title and by who he is. That is why if today we are all waiting and someone is going to address the nation, if it is the president, everyone is waiting, what will he say? But now if it's just anyone else, we are like, okay, once he addresses, we listen to news and no alisema nini. You get my point? Why? Because of who you are. It is not about anything else. It's not about your name. It's not about your anything. It's not about all those things. It's about who you are. Okay? And so I need you today to start aspiring to make a difference instead of seeing the difference. Okay? Because many times when you see the difference and it doesn't satisfy you, it doesn't make you happy, then by the end of the day, what will you do? You will end up criticizing and judging. But when you see a difference that you yourself made, then you're able to even improve it better. So how about you make the difference, then see the difference, and then you're able to go to the next step. That is how you grow as an individual. Okay, and so today I need you to leave you at that, and I will end this podcast by saying, some travel to see the difference, others travel to make the difference. So who are you, and which position are you standing? Don't forget that self-discovery will lead you into not seeing the difference, but into making the difference. Thank you very much for listening to
Salimo 254. This is Good Morning Africa.
Thank you for tuning in. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. And remember, Monday to Monday, we are here every single day, making sure that we are saying Good Morning Africa and giving some wisdom, understanding, and knowledge to even help you get to where you're going. Don't forget to just comment and tell me, what else do you want to know about Africa, and which topic do you want us to address? Have an amazing day. God bless you. Keep you safe. See you tomorrow, same time, same place. Goodbye and God bless you.
Arise, Africa, arise. Arise, Africa, arise. Arise.